5 years into captivity as a prisoner of war, Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Bud Day, a man of deep faith in God and country, had survived unimaginable torture, privation, and cruelty at the hands of the North Vietnamese. One day, as he and several prisoners gathered for a church service strictly forbidden by their captors, enraged guards burst in, rifles aimed at the clandestine congregation. Their execution, a real option. Calmly standing up, Bud began belting out the Star-Spangled Banner. His fellow worshipers chimed in. Soon the entire camp reverberated with choruses of the national anthem and God Bless America. George Everette Day was born on February 24, 1925 in Sioux City, Iowa. He was the second child of John Edward Day and Christine Marie Larson Day. When the United States entered World War II, Bud, as he was known to family and friends, couldn't wait to help his country. He finally persuaded his parents to let him drop out of high school and join the Marines. He enlisted on December 10, 1942, and soon ended up in the Pacific Theater. After his discharge, November 24, 1945, he used the GI Bill to obtain a few college degrees. Attending Morningside College, he received a Bachelor of Science degree and a PhD in Humane Letters. Next, he attended the University of South Dakota, earning a Juris Doctorate, and was admitted to the South Dakota Bar Association in 1949. While attending college, he served in the United States Army Reserves. In May of 1949, Bud married his childhood sweetheart, Doris Merlene Sorensen. That same year, he transferred to the Iowa Air National Guard. In May of 1950, he became a second lieutenant. With the Korean War in full swing, 2 months later, the Air Force called Bud to active duty. Bud was assigned to Webb Air Force Base, Texas, earning his pilot's wings in September 1952 and continuing his training. By February 1953, Bud was a fighter-bomber pilot on his way to Japan. He flew 2 Korean War tours in the Republic F-84 Thunderjet with the 559th Strategic Fighter Squadron of the 12th Strategic Fighter Wing at Bergstrom. Upon his promotion to captain, he decided to make the Air Force his career. August of 1955 to June 1959 found him in England with the 55th Fighter Bomber Squadron of the 20th Fighter Bomber Wing, rising to the level of Wing Stan Eval Flight Examiner at RAF Weathersfield. The F-100 Super Sabre arrived in 1957, and Bud quickly broke in the new fighter and its capabilities. While Bud and Doris were in England, they adopted their first son, Stephen, from Germany. From June 1959 to August 1963, Bud commanded the ROTC unit at St. Louis University and served as an assistant professor of aerospace science. While he was there, he acquired a Master of Arts degree in international law, and he continued flying jets nearly every weekend out of Scott Air Force Base. In 1963, Bud and Doris adopted a second son, George E. Jr., and headed for Norfolk, Virginia, where Bud attended the Armed Forces Staff College in Counterinsurgency Indoctrination from August 1963 to January 1964. Bud then served for 2.5 years as an Air Force advisor to the New York Air National Guard at Niagara Falls Air Force Base, flying fighters once again. Now a major and anticipating retirement, Bud volunteered for a tour in Vietnam. But before he left in 1967, the Days adopted 2 more children, this time twin girls, Sandra and Sonia. His first assignment in South Vietnam was as an F-100 Assistant Operations Officer at Tuy Hoa Air Base. After 72 missions, he was reassigned in June 1967 to become the first commander of the Misty Superfax at Phu Cat Air Base. Bud's radio call sign was Misty 1. By August 26th, he had flown 67 more missions into North Vietnam. On a mission to eliminate a surface-to-air missile site, the North Vietnamese shot down his plane. During his ejection, he suffered 3 breaks in his right arm and dislocated his left knee. He was captured by the North Vietnamese, but after a few days, he managed to escape and evade back into the south. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later, he was recaptured near Quang Tri City. Bud spent the next 5.5 years in the worst prison camps in North Vietnam. By the time of his release on March 14, 1973, he had survived 2,028 days as a prisoner of war. Bud returned to Luke Air Force Base, Arizona, flying fighters. Additionally, he completed work on his PhD in political science at Arizona State University. Bud's last military assignment took the family to Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, September 1974. In 1976, President Gerald Ford presented Bud with the Medal of Honor for his personal bravery and leadership while a captive. At Eglin, he was an F-4 Phantom II pilot and vice commander of the 33rd Tactical Fighter Wing. He retired from active duty on December 9, 1977, with 6,000+ flying hours and nearly 70 medals, including the Air Force Cross. Bud returned to practicing law and wrote 2 books, Return with Honor and Duty, Honor, Country. In retirement, however, Bud was not through with helping his military brothers and sisters. When the government decided to take away the military retirees' medical benefits that they had been promised, he took the matter to court. Though losing in the U.S. Court of Appeals in 2002, Bud's lawsuit forced the government to make permanent an unwritten promise. Congress established TRICARE for life for career military retirees over the age of 65. Misty 1, Colonel Bud Day, died on July 27, 2013, and is buried at Barrancas National Cemetery at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. Tonight, it is our honor and privilege to welcome George Everette Bud Day, pilot, patriot, Medal of Honor and Air Force Cross recipient, into the National Aviation Hall of Fame.